The first time I realized my best friend was trying to steal our business, I was staring at the company website and my name had disappeared from the About page. Not moved, not shortened, completely gone. 2 years earlier, Marcus had come to me with an idea for a mobile car detailing company. He had the skill and energy, but no money. I had savings from working long weeks in logistics, and I wanted to build something outside my regular job. We had known each other since college. So when he showed me his plan, I did not see him as someone asking for cash. I saw us building something together. I paid for the van, pressure washers, water tanks, insurance, uniforms, website, advertising, and the first 6 months of costs. By launch day, I had put in just over $42,000. Marcus put in no money, but we agreed that his daily work had value. We signed an operating agreement giving us equal ownership. He would run appointments and staff. I would manage the accounts, taxes, and long-term planning. For the first year, it worked better than either of us expected. We started with driveways and apartment parking lots. Then we landed 2 small dealership contracts. Marcus was great with customers. I handled invoices at night after work. We hired 3 employees, bought a second van, and started paying ourselves. I was proud of him. I was proud of us. Then small things began changing. Marcus stopped sending me the weekly schedule. He said he was too busy and that I could check the booking system myself. A few weeks later, my login stopped working. He said the software had reset during an update. Then one employee called Marcus the owner while I was standing beside him. Marcus laughed and said, "He means the other owner." It sounded harmless, but the employee looked confused. That was the first moment I felt something shift. A month later, Marcus asked me to stop joining staff meetings. He said my questions about expenses made the team uncomfortable. I asked which questions he meant. He said I was too focused on numbers and not enough on growth. That made no sense. The numbers were the only reason we could afford growth. Still, I backed off for 2 weeks because I did not want to create tension. That was exactly what he needed. The next surprise came from our bank. I received an alert that my access had been changed from administrator to viewer. I called Marcus immediately. He said the bank had updated its permissions and he would fix it the next morning. He did not. The following afternoon, I drove to our storage unit. My code no longer opened the gate. Marcus said the facility had changed the system. By then, I knew these were not random problems. Someone was slowly closing every door that connected me to the company. But I still did not understand how far he had gone. I checked the website that night. My photo was gone. Our story had been rewritten. It now said Marcus had started the company after years of working alone and turning a small idea into a growing local brand. There was no mention of me, my investment, or our partnership. I called him and asked why he had changed it. He stayed calm. That made the conversation worse. He said customers connected more with one founder. He said 2 names made the brand feel unclear. Then he added, "You were never really involved in the day-to-day side anyway." I reminded him that I had funded the launch and still handled taxes, payroll checks, and major expenses. He replied, "Funding something does not make you the face of it." That sentence sat with me all night. The next morning, I opened our shared drive. Most of the folders were missing. I contacted our accountant, Nina, and asked if Marcus had requested any changes. There was a long pause before she answered. She asked whether I had signed a new ownership document. I said no. Nina told me Marcus had emailed her a file showing him as the sole owner and me as a private lender. The document listed my $42,000 as a loan that had supposedly been repaid through earlier distributions. I had never seen that document, and the date on it was from 8 months earlier. That was the point where confusion ended. This was not about branding or control. He was creating a paper trail to erase my ownership. I asked Nina to send me everything he had provided. The signature under my name looked close at first glance, but it was not mine. The document also used an old address I had not used since college. Marcus had copied it from an early form I filled out when we opened the first business account. I felt sick. I kept thinking about all the nights I had stayed up fixing invoices while he sent messages about how big we could become. I thought about every time he called the company ours. That word had meant something different to each of us. I did not call him again. I contacted a business attorney. She told me not to warn Marcus, argue by text, or remove money from the company account. We spent 3 days collecting the original agreement, transfer records, tax filings, emails, payroll approvals, and messages where Marcus had referred to us as equal partners. Then she found the part that changed everything. Marcus had filed an amendment with the state removing me as a member of the company. It had been submitted 6 weeks earlier. He had not just planned to push me out. He had already told the accountant, bank, payment processor, storage facility, and our largest client that he was the only owner. And one more discovery made it worse. He had been preparing to sell the business. A dealership group had offered to buy our contracts, vans, brand, and customer list. Marcus wanted to close the sale before I noticed. If it worked, he would receive the full payment and leave me with nothing except a fake loan history. The sale price was $190,000. The next morning, my attorney sent formal notices to Marcus, the buyer, the bank, and the state office. The sale stopped that same day. Marcus called me 17 times. I answered once. He started by saying there had been a misunderstanding. Then he said the new arrangement was better for taxes. When I mentioned the copied signature, he went silent. After a few seconds, he became angry. He said I had slowed the company down. He said I acted like writing checks gave me control over his work. He said customers knew him, employees followed him, and the company would not exist without his effort. I told him the company needed both of us, and he had decided that only one of us deserved to benefit from it. He asked what I wanted. At that point, I did not want an apology. I wanted distance, accurate records, and an ending he could not rewrite later. The next 6 weeks were ugly. The bank restricted major withdrawals. The buyer requested documents from both sides. Our largest dealership paused new work. Employees heard pieces of the dispute and started leaving. The company we had spent 2 years building began shrinking because Marcus had tried to take all of it. During mediation, his attorney argued that Marcus had created most of the company's value through his labor. My attorney agreed that his labor mattered, then placed the signed operating agreement on the table. Equal ownership, clear roles, clear signatures. She also presented tax returns, bank records, and the email Marcus had sent the buyer saying, "My partner is not aware of the sale yet." That email ended the argument. We reached a settlement before the case went further. Marcus gave up his share, returned control of every account, and paid part of my legal costs from his portion of the frozen sale deposit. In exchange, I did not pursue additional claims connected to the copied signature. The buyer walked away and 2 dealership contracts never returned. For a while, I felt like I had won and still lost everything. The company was smaller. The staff was nervous. The vans needed repairs. Customers had heard rumors. I also had to learn parts of the daily operation Marcus had always handled, but I kept it open. I promoted our most experienced employee to operations manager and gave her a clear contract, fair pay, and access to the information needed to do her job. I rebuilt the website with the whole team listed. I stopped treating friendship as a replacement for controls, records, and accountability. A year later, the company is not worth $190,000. It is stable, clean, and mine. Marcus started another detailing service nearby. It lasted less than 6 months. I heard he blamed me for damaging his reputation, but I never responded. The hardest part was not losing a friend. It was realizing the friendship had become useful to him long before it became painful to me. I paid for his business because I thought we were building a future side by side. He removed my name because he thought my loyalty would keep me quiet. It did not. And now every time I see our company name on one of the vans, I remember that I did not fight to stay beside him. I fought to stop him from erasing me.